They're all in the know. Pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Betting Weekly Hardball. I'm Doug Kerizian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero on this somewhat sleepy Monday in the sports calendar. A little bit of a hangover effect after the British Open. But we have plenty of baseball to get through now that we are in the second half of the All-Star or post the All-Star break. Lots to dissect. Chris, you haven't been on the show in over a week. Granted, we only had 2 episodes last week because of the All-Star break, but you are based in San Diego, where it was also Del Mar opening day and weekend.
Yeah, I was at the opening day on Friday afternoon. A lot of fun, a lot of great sightseeing and people watching, and we had some beautiful weather. Last couple of days, I was up there yesterday as well. Beautiful sunny day. So we love Del Mar. It brings a lot of people from all around the country to come out and enjoy our San Diego tradition of Del Mar. And I'll be out there a bunch more this summer. Hopefully, we can get some more baseball winners as well, as we got 15 games today. Everyone's in action.
Everyone is in action. Yeah, you're right. Where the turf meets the surf, beautiful. And I'm surprised it took me forever to get down there, but I eventually did a few years ago, even though I grew up in LA. But I was always about staying at Hollywood Park. So not that I wasn't betting on the ponies, I just went more, closer to my home, so to speak. So you mentioned that we have 15 games, huge slates. First game I want to discuss is more of a principle concept as well, with the Tigers in action visiting the Pirates. Paul Skenes on the bump, who's got ridiculous numbers, 2.01 ERA. Can't get any run support, but it's the Pirates, so what do you expect? But we have Detroit, which played Sunday Night Baseball on the road in Texas, also going on the road here to Pittsburgh. We've had Wes Reynolds on the show earlier this season, who kind of liked the trend of fading the road team on Sunday night if they're back-to-backs. What are your thoughts here as we incorporate interesting pitching matchup with Flaherty and, of course, Paul Skenes?
Yeah, that's a great angle. You see it a lot. The team that's on the road on Sunday night, or even if they're at home, if they have to travel the next night, it's been a really strong angle the last few years. I'm usually not one to bet a team on a losing streak, as the Pirates are down, these last 3 in a row. But they're back home. They're not terrible at home, 26-24. And for Detroit, you have Flaherty, who's just been, he's been pretty terrible all year. 5-9, 4.65 ERA. Even worse on the road, 2-4 with a 6.08. And interesting enough, the Pirates have actually hit Flaherty pretty well. Opponent batting average is at 304 with 5 home runs and 79 at bats. Now, the key to this game is that if you've watched Skenes lately, he's only pitching 5 innings moving forward. It looks like the last 5 outings, he's only pitched 5 innings. So the only way to play this game, I think it's a solid angle due to the fact that the Pirates have hit Flaherty pretty well, and they're not a bad home team. You got to play Pirates first 5 innings. You hope Skenes give you a 5 strong, hopefully no runs, maybe 1 run at worst. You got to lay 150, but I'm not confident that Pittsburgh can win the game once Skenes comes out. So I already played this. I figure Skenes gives you 5 innings. Hopefully he shuts him down. Flaherty's been terrible all year. Hopefully the Pirates, scratch across a few runs against them. Like I mentioned, they have 5 home runs in the lineup and 79 at bats. First Flaherty. So I played this already at -150. Pirates first 5.
So you mentioned the first 5. There's a little bit of a tax. Obviously, you're not the first one to think of it, but it may not be enough, is what you're saying. So Pirates at Bet Rivers in the first 5 line, -155. So Pirates have to hang on for the win. You get to shave off 21 cents, but you also have to rely on a Pirates bullpen to do that. So there's a bit of a tax for Skenes. And we've seen that when the pitching starting edge is that much more significant in Pittsburgh's favor, then they're going to juice up the juice. And I guess you can also have an unfulfilled result with the push, right? You can't get a push on a game bet in terms of the money line, but you can certainly do it. I can get behind that. You mentioned the lower sort of outings for Skenes. He went 5 innings or less in each of his last 4 starts before the All-Star break. Now, pitch count wasn't that high. We're talking high 70s, some in the 80s. You could say that the team is trying to stretch him out by having Tigers team total, but Flaherty, yeah, you're right. It can get lit up a little bit. So I looked at some pitching props with the strikeouts, but again, you just don't know how many innings you're going to get or pitches you're going to get from Skenes. I don't know if they were saving him before the All-Star break, and this is his first start after. So I think it's a wait and see. So I can certainly get behind the first five. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, another angle too. The Nerfy 5 straight Detroit road games. So you figure Skenes can get out of the first. Can Flaherty get out of the first against Pittsburgh? The lineup is putrid. They're not scoring many runs at all. So that's just another angle. If you're into the Nerfy market, the last 5 Detroit road games has been a Nerfy.
Okay, so something to keep in mind. I personally cannot trust Flaherty in that regard, but it is the Pirates lineup, so certainly that is on your side if you are so inclined. Another game that caught my eye was a battle of the American League East. Blue Jays hosting the Yankees. Last time these two teams met north of the border, Toronto swept them in a 4-game set. The summer of George was launched for Springer, and during that series, the Blue Jays took over first place. It all started, I believe, on Canada Day. And now New York enters 3 games back of the Jays. Rodon's going for the Yanks, Gossman going for the Jays. I personally have nothing involved in this game right now. Blue Jays are sizable favorites at $1.75. How the mighty have fallen with Rodon. He was getting sort of superstar treatment at the book with the odds making earlier in the series when he was just lights out of the gates. Maybe superstar is a little strong, but I'm surprised to see Gossman minus 175 in this pitching matchup. But the Yanks bats are not great. Obviously, they have Judge, but the Blue Jays have been really strong the last month or so.
No, that's the. I think you're looking at the run line there. This is pretty much a pick.
Oh, my bad. Game. Okay, so it is a pick.
Yeah. Yankees about minus 115, minus 120. I'm going right back to the well in this game. When these two teams played last time up in Rogers Center, I was on the over every day. I was on Toronto every day. I'm not going to hop on Toronto just because the pitching matchup definitely favors the Yankees, but I am going to be back on the over. The last 10 games between the Yankees and Blue Jays at Rogers Center has gone over the total. They posted 8.5 again. I'm very confused why this total is as low as it is, due to the fact that I'm also going to be playing a bunch of props in this game. Vlad Guerrero, 9 for 15 versus Rodon. Then you have Judge, 16 for 43 with 6 home runs and 12 RBIs against Gausman. And Goldie, 9 for 16 versus Gausman as well. So I'm looking at some player props, total bases on all 3 guys, hits plus runs plus RBI as well. All 3 of these players who just seem to really attack the opposing pitcher. And I really like the over again. These two teams seem to bring out the best bats in each other, and it's happened 10 times in a row up at Toronto. So let's not try to screw with it too much. Just go with the streak. 10 in a row. This game is going. These two teams have gone over at Rogers Center, and I'm going to be on that again. 8.5.
Wow. And so this Yankee lineups delivers in some places. Maybe Rogers Center is one of it is.
Yeah, it's not a small sample size. So, some of these, these two pitchers have, seen a lot of these lineups. So, the familiarity factor with the lineups versus guys that they've seen a bunch and they've hit well. So, guys are hitting over 500 against each other. So, this is, not a small sample size with some big power numbers as well. So I think we have fireworks again. I like the over minus 8.5.
All right. It all started with Canada Day. This run, I shouldn't say it all started because that's the last time in the last series, but clearly this matchup north of the border has been flying over the total. So we'll see if that continues. Chris, I know you like your streak, so best of luck on that front. The Red Sox were streaking until the Major League Baseball All-Star break cooled them off. 10 straight wins going into the break. Then they lose 2 coming out. Did avoid the sweep yesterday, but now they're in Philly. Walker Buehler on the mound against Philly's ace Zach Wheeler, minus 240 at Bet Rivers. That's a big price tag, but it is Zach Wheeler, sort of a throwback pitcher, one of the guys who will go deep into the lineup. Over under of 8, slightly juiced to the over. Buehler's been a mixed bag, but kind of shaky at times, as much as he's, a guy I loved when he was with the Dodgers and was such a big game pitcher, but obviously injuries have eroded some of that special stuff, but he's shown flashes here and there. Any read on this game? Because for me, I would look at under if anything, because I just don't want to back Buehler in that regard. He's let me down a few times this season. I picked the wrong games to support him.
Yeah, I mean, Bueller's been really struggling on the road, 3-4 with an 8.66 ERA. But for some reason, I'm not sure how much of this is probably from his glory days with the Dodgers, but he's really held down this lineup. I mean, Trey Turner is 0 for 14 against them, but it is tough to go up against Wheeler. 9-3 with a 2.36 ERA, lights out at home. 6-1 with a 1.91 ERA. I don't know what to make of this game. Philly didn't really play that well against the Angels this weekend. Losing 2 out of 3. So it would. I'm not going to lay the big number with Philly. They're coming off a loss. The Red Sox bats got going again yesterday. The Red Sox have a lot of young bats. I mean, it was a weird series. I know they lost the first 2 games, but they had a lot of hard outs, a lot of couple base running miscues again that ran them out of a couple innings. So the losses weren't as bad as they could have been. I mean, it wasn't like they just weren't hitting at all. They've been making some good contact, and the bats came alive late in the game yesterday. I'd like to grab the Red Sox with such a big number here, but just Bueller's been just so erratic on the road. It's tough to back him. I'm not going to have a play in this game. The Yurfee 7 straight when Boston is an underdog. So something you might want to look at just due to the fact that Bueller's out there. Maybe he gives up an early home run. The Red Sox have been giving up some early home runs the last couple of days. The first 2 games against the Cubs. Yeah, this is a tough game. I'm just going to stay away from it. The over is hit in the last 4 games where the Phillies played an AL team. So just some small trends at that point.
For what it's worth, Wheeler gave up 4 earned in his last start. That was before the All-Star break on July 12th. He typically bounces back. But to your point, the team total is only 2.5. Unders plus 123, so it's enticing from the juice standpoint. But 2.5 is just such a low number. But it's a lot more, enticing to take plus money than maybe the Phillies on the money line at minus 240. Something to keep in mind. Look, we'll keep it. Go west now with the Dodgers just struggling. Clayton Kershaw taking out his frustration in the dugout. It's a Dodgers team that had lost 7 straight. They did win a couple to kind of break up that slide, but it's now 3 straight losses. So really questionable what's going on with LA. They just can't get it done. Now they welcome the Twins to Dodger Stadium. Minus $1.90 at home is the Blue Crew. Ohtani going for the Dodgers. Festa for the Twins. This is a Twins team that got kind of handled in Colorado. So you've been talking about how phony this Minnesota squad is all season. Even with that 13 game win streak, they're still a questionable team. What's your read here? It's a big number, though, for Dodgers who aren't playing well at all lately.
Well, I looked up when Ohtani came back, to be a starter or whatever the heck they're doing with him. He's only pitched 9 innings. And what I think is happening since he's come back, they did rip off a bunch of wins in a row, but against really bad competition at the end of June. They beat the White Sox. They played the Rockies a bunch. As soon as we flipped into July, I really think that the fact that they bring in Ohtani for 1 inning is totally disrupting this team. It's killing their bullpen. They're only 15-13 since Ohtani came back against the Padres on June 16th. And it just doesn't make sense. They pitch him 1 or 2 innings, and then they just dismantle their bullpen the rest of the way. I mean, this has to have a lasting effect on the team. And I think by showing the record, it has. I'm not sure why they're not hitting as much. And now we have the potential Freddie Freeman injury. And anyone who has tickets on the Padres to win the division at monster numbers must be a little bit excited. As for this game, it's tough to back. It's tough to back Ohtani. I mean, who knows? He pitches 1 or 2 innings and he comes out fine. He might not give up a run, so maybe you look to a Nerfy. But Festa's no bargain either. 3-3 with a 5.25 ERA. I don't like Minnesota's lineup or the manager. Like you said, they had trouble with the Rockies, and this Festa on the road, even a higher ERA, mid-6s. I have no play in this game. I don't want to, the Dodgers are just a mess right now. 2 big losing streaks in the last 3 weeks. So just not sure what's going on with the team. A lot of injuries. The pitching is in, kind of in shambles. They keep saying, Glasnow's back, fine. Snell might come back. I don't know. I don't have a play on this game. It's just, it's interesting just to look back at the record, though. I really think when they brought Ohtani back, it just kind of changed the momentum of the team. And it really screwed up their bullpen. And I don't understand what they're doing with him. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a reliever? Maybe you don't want to lose his bat, but this is no way to really bring a pitcher back and disrupt everything else on the team. It seems a little odd, and I think it's reflective in the record.
You mentioned that if you have a ticket on Padres at ice, it's, this gives you a sliver of optimism. They're only 3 games back right now in the division, 3.5. Padres currently at Bet Rivers plus 1,800 to win the National League West. Any interest there?
To win the National League West or the NL?
Just the division.
Oh, of course. That's a great. Why wouldn't get on? Yeah, yes. Yeah. I already have some. I have some tickets. A little, around that range, maybe a little higher. I have some tickets for the National League. I have some tickets to the World Series. I mean, this Padres team, for all their flaws, they were a 126 inning streak of not scoring away from knocking the Dodgers out last year, and they wouldn't even have that World Series. So Padres, a lot of question marks too. They have a lot of injured starting pitching. It seems like it's like the San Diego curse, whether it was the Chargers before or the Padres now. Guys are always injured or something always comes up, fluky. But I mean, if they're offering 18-1 to win the division, they're only 3.5 games out. Freeman's injured. Who knows what's going on with the pitching staff? A lot of injuries and a lot of just not good efforts by the team lately. And all of a sudden, the greatest lineup in the world can't hit. So I think that's great value. I mean, even for the next 2 months, sweating it out just to have a huge ticket like that, why not?
And all about combined probability, the odds to win the pennant actually lower than the division, plus 1,400. Now, think about it. It makes sense once you process it. It's not a bracket per se with both bets. Like to surpass the Dodgers in the regular season, different than getting into the playoffs and having to win a couple series. Like it's just sort of the probability. It's just obviously having the Dodgers on top in this divisional race and having a 3.5 game lead and having the second half of the season underway. But 18-1 right now.
Oh, no problem.
There we go. So it's funny. I was hosting thinking you had the tech difficulty. And then I realized, oh, no, that's me. So I support that. It's just funny to think that it's 14-1 to win the pennant, but 18-1 to win the division. But it makes sense. You got to go through the Dodgers, leapfrog them. They have a 3.5 game lead, and we're in the second half of the season.
I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the Padres are going to play the Dodgers again the rest of the year. So I don't see how that could possibly be 18-1. I mean, that seems a little mispriced to me.
Looking at it at Bet Rivers.
If you just watch over the last month of the season, the Brewers made up 7 games in 2 weeks. The Red Sox made up 12 games in 3 weeks. It can definitely happen. And some of these teams are just, if you watch the Dodgers over the last month of the season and just didn't know that they were the Dodgers, you no way would think that they'd be that big of a monster favorite to win the division, only up by 3.5 games. Granted, they'll probably still win it, but I think that's super good value. If you have a chance to get plus 1,800 on something, I don't think that is that unrealistic to happen.
But I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but yesterday I was looking going into the final round of the British Open. Scheffler with that lead was also minus 33.35 at Bet Rivers. So, and then within he birdied the first hole, then it skyrocketed after that. But obviously Scheffler having the lead, but I would say Scheffler with the lead on Sunday going into that round with that field and everything, more likely than the Dodgers are to win the division from this point forward. And as Chris was saying, a lot of things working against them. It's baseball. We just saw the Brewers sweep them. There's a lot of things to like in terms of fading the Dodgers. They're not the big bad kid on the block necessarily.
The Dodgers have been
back.
The Dodgers have been swept in 4 series in the last 3 weeks. So the Dodgers aren't that great. They're not. They have a plethora of injuries. They're not hitting. They have, I guess, Glass now is their ace now. Kershaw is pitching every day. He's like 50 years old, and their bullpen arms are hurt. I'm not sure what anyone else is seeing. They're not watching. They're just priced that way because they're the Dodgers. That's it. That's not the
On paper.
There's so much.
On paper.
There's so much value. There's so much value in the Padres at plus 1,800. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to probably go searching around after the show and add some Padres.
Okay, so Chris supports that at plus 1,800, as do I. Maybe not as emphatically. I just think it's worth a flyer. You got, and by the way, I looked it up. Each have a 3-game homestand the rest of the way, both in August. So they're going to play each other 6 more times, 3 on each other's park, and those meetings happening early to mid-August and then late August as well. Speaking of the Guardians, what a run this team has been on. Total roller coaster, if you want to break it down. They're hosting Baltimore today. Cleveland, 8-2 in its last 10 games. Before that, the 10-game losing streak, including that 10th loss, where they gave up a game-tying run in the 9th to the Tigers, even though Detroit did not have a single hit. It was just wild stuff. And then the Tigers covered the run line. They covered the over-under. It goes over in extra innings in just the 10th. So wild game. And then right after that, they responded, going 8-2 even through the All-Star break. So the Guardians, big favorites here with Bybee on the bump, minus $143. Sagano goes for Baltimore. And it's a hefty price tag, all things considered. But Baltimore's been playing really good ball, over under 8.5.
Yeah, I don't really have a play in the game. I was leaning Cleveland. They've been pretty hot, and Baltimore's just about ready to start selling before the trade deadline. But a couple guys have hit BB pretty well. O'Hearn 3 for 6. Gunnar Henderson also 3 for 6. The rest of the team has no hits against them, so it's kind of weird. O'Hearn and Henderson have accounted for all 6 of the hits in the 28 at bats against BB. But BB's tough. I mean, he has some good games. He has some bad games. He has pitched better at home with a good ERA, 2.57. So I would lean Cleveland, but I don't have a play on the game.
Yeah, the price feels way too high, but I want no part of Baltimore. They blew, what was it, Sunday's game or Saturday's game to the Rays. They were up on the road and then lose 4-3. Just Baltimore's finding ways to lose again. So even though they heated up a little bit, got out of the basement, so to speak, they're still back to their losing ways. A couple other games I want to gloss over. You mentioned the big card here. Just a reminder, we need the currency of likes and subscribes. So please do that on the YouTube show. And I meant currency. That's the price of doing business on YouTube. It's what we use to really help us grow. And since it's free content, we appreciate if you take the time to do that, subscribe, and like. The Bet Rivers Network's done a wonderful job. Tons of shows. Nigel and the guys have soccer previews, tennis previews on this. We have Bet Rivers odds, links to shows here like this one, Betting Weekly Hardball. So a lot of good stuff. Go check it out. Subscribe and like across the board. We'll go back to the baseball schedule, Chris. And Royals and Cubs, always an intriguing game. This one in Chicago. This game's on national television and MLB Network. Noah Cameron's going for KC, and I've liked his stuff. 2.31 ERA this year, but fairly unreliable, all things considered, as much as any guy with a 2.31 ERA can be. But I'm also not running to back the Cubs either because it's a pretty hefty money line, all things considered, at minus $150. 7.5 is a low total as well.
Yeah, it's tough to bet Kansas City just because they don't score many runs. Their offense gets bogged down. It's almost like the Pirates' offense, even though they have much better players. But definitely not backing the Cubs with Brazier tonight, the ex-Red Sox. He's a relief pitcher. He's been not longer than 1 inning all year in all his appearances. He has not started a game yet, so this is his first start. And I like this Noah Cameron, as you mentioned, great ERA, even better ERA on the road. And in the last his last 18 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs and 20 strikeouts. So I would definitely be KC or pass on this game. Cubs coming off the loss yesterday. I don't like backing teams that lost the day before, just because you never know. You might catch a streak where they're going in the wrong direction or the right direction. Royals off a win yesterday, so maybe they can get 2 in a row. The Cubs bats are, they're a force, as we've seen all year. Some really great hitters, Bush and PCA and Happ and Tucker. Such a great lineup. But I like this kid Cameron, and he's been lights out on the road. So let's see if we can keep it going. I don't have a play on the game yet, but it would definitely be KC or pass for me.
Yeah, me too. The Cubs have come back to earth. Their offense was leading the league in runs scored earlier in the year, the first month or so. They've come back to earth. I think the Cubs are here to stay long term. And they are 19 games above 500. So they haven't exactly faded. They're 15 above 500 at home. And that's where this game is on the north side of Chicago at Wrigley. But I like Cameron. I just don't love his offense, as you mentioned. So not enough for me to get involved, but that would be the only side I would look to. Hey, the Rockies playing some good ball thanks to the Twins being in town, but they're back being underdogs. But the lines have come down considerably, Chris. On Thursday last week, or maybe Friday, Twins were like $1.60, $1.70 road favorite against, I believe, Freeland. Similar situation for the Cardinals at minus 155. McGreevy's going for St. Louis, and Gomber with an ERA over 5.5 going for Colorado. But look how low this money line is. I think the Rockies are now getting sort of White Sox treatment from a year ago instead of the horrendously, historically bad treatment.
Well, I think St. Louis went on their little run earlier in the year. They were hot and they looked a little bit better than they are. I mean, they're losers of 3 straight. And McGreevy, I'm not going to back him. I'm not going to get involved in this game. The only thing, maybe look for a prop. Arenado 4-17 with a home run against Gomber. Gomber is terrible as well, though. 0-3, 5.65 ERA. At home, he's 0-1 with a 7.36. So this is just a total stay away game for me. I probably won't even check the score of this game.
Won't even check the score. The ultimate insult, especially in the dog days of summer. But there are a lot of baseball games at least, but just not a lot of other sports, especially with the WNBA on its all-star break. I skipped one of the marquee games. I want to go back to it. Seattle hosting Milwaukee. Brewers took care of business against the Dodgers. They're now on the road here. You're going to have to bring their A game. Kirby's going for Seattle. Woodruff, though, going for Milwaukee. It's nice to see him back and healthy. M's only slight favorites. They've been pretty solid, man, taking care of business in a lot of ways. The Mariners have been hanging around a lot longer than I thought in all these playoff races. Again, Mariners favored slightly. What do you make?
Well, the line is telling you everything. I mean, the Brewers are on a 10-game winning streak. They just swept the Dodgers, and they're underdogs tonight. So, I mean, that's going to give you pause if you're on the Brewers. If you're on the Brewers for 10 straight games, obviously you're betting the Brewers tonight. I have not been. I've had them a couple times. They're playing great baseball, probably one of the best teams in baseball, the last, couple months of the season. And what I would say is maybe the Brewers, celebrated a little bit after this game, sweeping the Dodgers. You're in LA, the trip up to Seattle. It's Woodruff has pitched well. Interesting. He's only given up 3 runs in 2 starts, and all 3 runs are solo home runs. So that's a little odd stat. I guess if you're, like I said, if you were on the Brewers 10 straight in a row, you're going to bet the Brewers tonight. But looking at the line and the way it's situated, and the fact that a couple guys on the Mariners have hit Woodruff pretty well. Rosarena 2 for 5 with a home run. Polanco 3 for 7. Solano 3 for 6. I think this might be a game where Seattle gets it just based on the number. It looks a little odd. Why the hell are they only, why are they underdogs and they just won 10 in a row and that, just beat the so-called best team in baseball, the Dodgers. Hey, they beat the Dodgers 6 in a row. So they swept them at home, swept them on the road, going up to Seattle. Just based on the number, it'd be Seattle or pass, but I'm not going to be involved in this game at the moment.
Yeah, I'm tempted. You're right. The market does suggest the Mariners are the play, but it's not outrageously high, especially if they are at home and they have the pitching edge potentially, but they may not. Woodruff just hasn't been around along the season, but certainly should be a good game tonight. Any other games catch your eye, Chris, in terms of worthy of discussing? I know we can't cover every single game on this show, but any plays that you have circled that you want to at least articulate and convey?
Well, there was this one prop I played already. Willie Adames, I played him hits, runs, RBI over. He has 2 home runs versus Cal Elder. Pitching for the Braves tonight has been terrible all season long. At home, he's a 1-3 with a 6.69 ERA. Adames had 2 home runs on Saturday up in Toronto, and maybe he can keep it going. He has two versus Elder, so 2 home runs Saturday, 2 versus the current pitcher tonight. I figured, he likes to hit against him. Maybe he catches a little fire, and that's one prop I'm going to play over in that game.
Right. So Braves on the money line minus a buck 29. Birdsong's going for San Francisco, but you're going to play Adames in the prop market. Anything? I mean, look, this Braves team's been giving up runs, scoring runs. Does over 9.5 seem cheap or a little bit of a force?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the last 6 San Francisco road games versus the NL East have gone under. Just another one of those weird trends that sometimes just sneaks in. A couple other ones too. 8 straight overs in Mets games versus the American League. Nimmo 8 for 15 with a home run against Ty Anderson. So that might be a prop you might want to look at as well. Ty Anderson not having a good year for the Angels. 2-6 with a 4.36 ERA on the road. Even worse, 1-3, 5.47. So maybe if you're inclined to play something in the Mets Angels game, look for Nimmo, who's hitting 533 with a home run versus Ty Anderson.
Brandon Nimmo, one of the more underrated players, I think, in all of baseball. To casual fans, baseball fans certainly know. I'm going to make my first official play. I'm going to make this over 8.5. I love this Mets lineup. I actually like the Angels lineup a lot. It's hit or miss, but it's feast or famine, and I think they can feast enough in this game to get us over 8.5. Senga going for New York. He's had a fantastic ERA. But these Angels, they'll swing for the fences every single cut, and I don't think much of Anderson. So that's going to be my first official play. Didn't get any other first fives or nerfies and things like that. I do think we see runs, and I like what you said. Was it 10 straight overs in Mets games against American League East opponent? American League opponent, regardless of venue, home or road.
Yeah, 8 straight overs in the Mets games versus the AL. 10 straight overs at Rogers Center for Yankees-Toronto. So that's one with 10.
Right. Okay. And then obviously the Brewers have won 10 straight. So a lot of streaking, Frank the Tank style going on here. We're trying to dissect a few other games. I thought the Padres and Marlins game, this Marlins team's been really feisty. There's only 6 games under 500. They've been a really different team the last month or so. Vasquez for the road team, Perez for the home team. Buck 39 feels right, but at some point Miami has got to have value to bet on them. I like them when they're dogs because obviously the pitching match, but I don't think pitchers really have figured out this lineup, all things considered. And this Padres team, until they start hitting, I have to respect the team at home, but obviously the Marlins are favored, which says a lot.
Yeah, well, it's 2 teams that don't do well. The Marlins are 22 and 28 at home, which is weird for a team that's played pretty well lately. And Padres aren't a great road team either, 23 and 27, although they did take 2 or 3 from Washington this weekend. 6 straight Padres road games as a dog have gone under. So I could see this game being like a 2-1, 3-2 type of game. Yuri Perez has pitched lights out lately. He's a 3-2 with a 3.18 ERA at home, 1-1, 2.53. So he's really pitched well. And I could see this game, like you mentioned, the Padres aren't hitting great. He's been pretty much lights out. He's only given up 1 earned run in his last 3 starts, 18 innings pitched for Yuri Perez. So maybe he shuts down the Padres. Maybe it's a low-scoring 2-1 type of game. Randy Vasquez has been pretty much average all year, but it's not like Miami is like the most jacked up lineup. So I could see this being a low-scoring game. It's a low total, only 8, but I don't see much firepower coming out of this game, especially the way Yuri Perez has pitched for the Marlins and how weak the Padres lineup has been, for an extended period of time. They just lacking that big punch. They haven't had as many home runs as they've had the previous couple of years, although they did have a grand slam back-to-back days with Friday night and Sunday afternoon. They had a grand slam by Machado Friday night and a grand slam by Bogarts yesterday. So maybe they're getting back into the groove, but I could see this being a low-scoring game.
I can see that too. Padres bats have not been really hitting. Marlins can explode. For the most part, they find some holes in their lineup before they are stacked, so to speak. Maybe we'll get to all of them. I want to touch on this game now. The White Sox against the Rays. Tampa just off a series with Baltimore welcomes the Chicago White Sox to Florida. Sean Burke going for the Southsiders. Baz going for Tampa, and they're big favorites. Too big a favorite for my liking at minus 240. Frankly, I'd look at the dog here, if anything.
Hey, you got to. They've won 3 in a row. You can't get in front of the White Sox. You never know what might happen. You got big plus money. Baz hasn't been much of anything, especially at home with a 5.47 ERA. So I would definitely be White Sox and pass here. The problem is the White Sox have only won 14 games on the road all year. 22 games under 500. Tampa 30-26 at home. So it's a little bit of a problem with that. They just can't seem to get any road wins, this White Sox team. But winners of 3 in a row. Bats have been pretty good. Sean Burke, not horrible. So I would not be backing Baz at a ridiculous price. I mean, minus 220 or 240 on the board there. And that's crazy for a guy with a mid-5 ERA at home. So it'll be White Sox a pass for me.
I know, right? It is crazy. That's the beauty of the White Sox and the Rockies this year. It's just been one of those headaches for odds makers more than anything. Hey, just a reminder, our newsletter is out. It's awesome. It comes out regularly with tens and I think it was like 32 pages the other day. Great previews and breakdowns. A lot of good stuff. Come check it out. bettingweeklystudios.com. All right, Chris, you mentioned the dumbest prop. Anything else catch your eye before we say goodbye?
No, I'm just gonna go with my my two main plays are Pittsburgh first 5 over Yankees 8.5 minus 115, and then I'm gonna play all those props I mentioned: Vladimir Guerrero, Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, and Willie Adames. Those are gonna be my 4 props over on their total bases and hits plus runs plus RBI plus the 2 plays like I mentioned over Yankees and Pittsburgh first 5.
All right, we hope to stay hot on the last show, which was Friday. Albert went 2-0. I went a measly 1-1, but it happened. I got a nerfy, and then the next game was an under that was nowhere close. So it's good to win. Go 1-1 if you're going to be that off in one of your picks. But Chris, as always, we appreciate the time and everyone behind the scenes who does such an awesome job with all the bells and whistles and making everything look so good. Appreciate that. So for Chris Macero and the entire team, I'm Doug Kerizian. We'll see you back here tomorrow.